Hey everybody, this is Bruce Collins from the YouTube channel Bruce Collins Reacts and Stuff. And I'm also at the YouTube channel The Bruce Collins Show. I'm a former AM radio host, and I've taken my program and I've put it exclusively on YouTube at the Bruce Collins Show channel. So check it out if you want. And I would love it if you'd subscribe to both of these channels, the Bruce Collins Show and Bruce Collins Reacts and Stuff. Now, today we have an interesting one. 5 scary unsolved mysteries with creepy CCTV footage. So the channel is, again, Top 5 Unknowns. Let's check it out. Okay, here we are with the Top 5 Unknowns. 5 scary unsolved mysteries with creepy CCTV footage. I won't check out all 5, so you can, if you want to see it in whole, you can go check it out. But just react to some of the strange stories on here. And I actually have some updates. I did my homework.
When scary mysteries go unsolved, CCTV video footage can provide detectives with important evidence, and that's especially true with missing people cases. Investigators can use a missing person's final moments to determine the direction they were last heading, who else was in the area, and to appeal to the public for more case information. And yet, sometimes, even this detailed information is still not enough for these unsolved mysteries to finally be solved. Number 5.
Before we go on, let me give credit where credit is due. Top 5 Unknowns is a great YouTube channel if you like this sort of thing, so I would recommend subscribing there also. It's pretty amazing how much work he puts into these videos.
Michael Modesti was a tiler in Adelaide, Australia, when he went missing in 2016 after returning from a work trip in Thailand. He spent the weekend of May 6th relaxing with his girlfriend and son. In the early afternoon of May 8th, he dropped his son off and went back to his empty house. That evening, he ordered a pizza, then called his girlfriend as usual. Nobody who saw Michael that day reported anything out of the ordinary about him. They never could have expected the strange mystery that was to follow. Michael's girlfriend was the first to worry when he didn't contact her at all the following day. The rest of his family hadn't heard from him either. The following day, Michael was reported as a missing person. Michael's home was found empty.
I love the stock footage. He has a shirt that just says police on it, generic looking shirt, no badge. But, no fault of the channel itself. It's just that this is interesting stock video.
The front door locked and his car missing. Police detectives could not rule out force, although there was no sign of a home disturbance. There were dishes in the sink, the TV was still on, and his phone and wallet were found inside. His family couldn't think of any reason why he would want to mysteriously disappear so suddenly. On May 11th, Michael's brother found his abandoned car in West Croydon on the corner of Chenoweth Avenue. There was a hydroponic farm nearby the area where Michael's car was found. At first, police theorized that he may have gone to check on the crops and ran into trouble, but searches of the area turned up no new clues. Michael was nowhere to be found. Investigators then returned to the public to figure out why Michael was driving down Chenoweth Road. The neighborhood was mostly residential, with young families living on the street where Michael's car was found. Some neighbors reported seeing the car in the area before, but none knew why Michael had been visiting on the day he went missing. Investigators turned to video evidence to piece together a timeline of events. A pedestrian reported seeing the vehicle parked on Chenoweth Road at 5:30 a.m. on May 9th. However, dashcam footage obtained from a taxi showed the car was not parked there at 3:15 a.m. Police suspected the disappearance had taken place sometime between 5:30 that morning and the night before. Upon further investigation, Detectives soon discovered that Michael may have had more involvement with criminal dealings than it first seemed. Michael had told his family that his trip to Thailand had been to go to a building expo that was taking place in Bangkok. He was looking at importing silicon, which was cheap in Thailand and suitable for using in his tile business or to sell at a profit. But police couldn't determine if Michael had actually gone to the expo or if this was a cover story. What they did know was that he traveled to Pattaya, a city known for its nightlife, according to the country's tourism board, which often involved black market activities. Strangely, Michael hadn't meant to go on the trip alone. Another man who had a similar business to Michael had also intended to go. This unnamed man pulled out at the last moment. When police looked deeper, they found this person was living an extravagant
Strange stock footage.
lifestyle that he shouldn't have been able to afford doing trade work at all. Going to Pattaya with an associate to extravagantly spend money wouldn't have been too suspicious, except Michael and this associate had been to Thailand many times before. Police believed Michael was looking at importing something completely different to silicon from Thailand, and far less legal. CCTV images were released to the public. One was from a few days before Michael went missing as he left the airport. He was seen walking out, looking around at the front of the airport, then going back inside. It was speculated he may have been looking for someone. More CCTV footage would soon change the timeline on the day Michael went missing. Police now believed he left his home much later on that morning. A home security camera video showed a car similar to Michael's blue Mitsubishi Magna at 9:20 a.m. A video taken on Chenoweth Avenue 10 minutes later showed Michael's car was not there. Finally, a third piece of creepy CCTV footage released to the public came from a bus driving past the end of the street just after 10:30 a.m. It had just stopped at a nearby stand to let a woman off. They continued in the same direction, then the woman turned down Chenoweth Avenue. The footage showed the woman walking past the car, which was now parked at the end of the street. Investigators found this evidence puzzling. The new CCTV footage meant the witness who had placed the car at 5:30 that morning had been mistaken, or the car had been on that street twice that morning. Police now believe Michael left his home sometime after 8 a.m. He was either with the person responsible for his mysterious disappearance, or was on his way to meet them. Investigators trying to solve this scary mystery hit another stumbling block when it came to the car itself. The family had reported it to police as soon as they found it, but before police could get there, someone had tampered with the evidence. Michael had had a burner phone, which police believed he had used for illegal activities.
When evidence is tampered, you know something's going on that's not quite right.
This would explain why Michael had left his personal phone at home, but an unidentified individual had taken the phone from the car and dropped it down a drain. It's not clear if this had been in an effort to protect Michael from any criminal convictions, or to protect the person Michael had been going to meet, but police were unable to find the phone and lost a valuable piece of evidence. If any other evidence was found from the car, it hasn't been revealed to the public. Police believe they know the person responsible for Michael's unsolved disappearance, but need more evidence in order to say for certain if he is guilty. Michael has never been found. A reward of $2,000 has been offered for information that could help solve this scary mystery, or return Michael to his loved ones. Police hope as time goes on.
That reward seems a little modest.
The people with the information they need to crack the case will feel safe enough to come forward. Number 4. Stephen Mackerel was a 25-year-old father of one when he vanished in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The unsolved disappearance went from what at first seemed to be a simple missing person case to possibly being something more after creepy CCTV footage of the missing man was found. Stephen was a professional poker dealer in 2015 and the father to a 1-year-old daughter. His family say he completely adored her and would never leave without contacting his family. It was the end of July when Stephen was last seen. He spent most of July 29th fishing with a cousin and slept for a while in the boat while they were out on one of the many lakes in the area. That evening, he had a couple of friends and went to a local hangout called Lucky's Tavern for drinks. In the early hours of the following morning, the group went to a nearby condo with a few young women. It was here where Stephen's loved ones saw him for the last time. For some reason, Stephen got into his car and went to go meet some other friends. He had consumed at least 5 drinks at this point, and despite being over the limit, drove 25 minutes north to an unknown destination, which none of his family can really explain. The friends he was supposed to meet weren't anywhere near there. Around 2:30 a.m., Stephen was caught on.
I'm already seeing a pattern in story 1. It was the old adage, crime doesn't pay. In story number 2, never get drunk and where you have no control of your faculties in public. That's a big mistake.
CCTV video at a gas station in Pompano Beach. He wandered through the aisles inside the shop, getting snacks and occasionally bumping into things. About 20 minutes later, surveillance video caught Stephen interacting with a man in another car in the parking lot. This man was in the passenger seat of the car. According to police, they'd gotten into an altercation. As the other car drove off, Stephen threw a can at the car. The car then went around the pumps, waiting for Stephen to leave and following him out. These 2 clips were released by police to the public. It's not clear what, if anything, was caught on camera during the moments between the 2 CCTV videos, which only makes this unsolved case even more mysterious. What happened after Stephen left the gas station remains a total mystery. He didn't make it to any friends or back home. Neither Stephen nor his car, a missing white 2013 Ford Fusion, have been found since. His family quickly realized something was wrong the following day. When they couldn't solve his disappearance on their own, they contacted police. Other than the CCTV evidence, investigators have found very few clues to explain what might have happened. But Stephen's car was never caught on video again. His license plate also wasn't read by any automated reader on the night that he vanished. Police know what direction Stephen was heading when he left the gas station, but the destination isn't known. In the weeks after he was first reported missing, police and the family made many appeals to try to get to the bottom of this scary mystery. They received hundreds of tips from the public in response, which police have worked through, but none have turned up any clues. The family also hired a private investigator at one point. Many missing.
This is the best stock footage ever. I mean, now they're talking about a private investigator, and look at this guy with the binoculars. This is awesome.
Person cases have been solved with the help of private investigators, as the local police force might not have the time to follow up on every lead. But in this case, the investigator didn't seem to do much, and brought the family no closer to solving the case. There are 3 distinct
He didn't do that much except he looked through his microscope, his magnifying glass.
Possibilities about what happened to Stephen. The first explanation, though unlikely, is that he disappeared of his own free will. However, he had no reason to want to disappear, and there's been no cell phone or bank activity in the years since Stephen mysteriously vanished. The Sun Pass on his car windshield, which is a travel pass for toll roads in Florida, also hadn't been used since before the night of his disappearance. Early in the investigation, it was speculated that he might have had something to do with a hit and run, in which a pickup truck had fled less than an hour after he was last seen. But that theory doesn't appear to have lasted long. Even if he had gotten into trouble, it's unlikely he would have abandoned his close-knit family without at least explaining his disappearance to them first. The other 2 scenarios to explain this unsolved case are either accidental circumstances or foul play. Police haven't been able to rule out either. Police released an image of the unknown suspect Stephen had been arguing with. Getting witness statements from everyone in this car was a top priority in this criminal investigation. Police were uncertain of their role in Stephen's mysterious disappearance. They could have been trying to scare him and then parted ways. Even if they were not directly involved in the disappearance, they could still provide valuable information about where Stephen was last seen. Stephen's family believe these people may have something to do with this scary mystery, with the fight possibly escalating until something serious happened. It's unknown if these people have ever been found and interviewed. If they were, then their testimony has never been made public. It's possible Stephen was the victim of foul play from some other party that was never captured on CCTV. It's never been properly understood why Stephen drove into the area. The most likely explanation seems to be that he'd gotten lost from Lucky's Tavern. But it's still possible that he went to meet someone unknown to the family and met an unexpected ending. The third and most likely explanation to this mystery is that he had an accident. There were many waterways in the area where Stephen disappeared, including a number of lakes he would have driven past to get home. Some had only short barriers between the road and the water, while others had a number of boat ramps. Many of these lakes and other waterways have been searched by police and voluntary organizations, such as Adventures with Purpose. While a number of missing cars have been found in lakes and elsewhere, none have been a match to Stephen's car. This doesn't necessarily mean Stephen's car isn't in the water, which is surprisingly deep in many places around the Pompano Beach area. Every year, Stephen's family continue to appeal for information that could help bring him home and solve this scary mystery. Stephen is described as being 5'10" and weighing 162 pounds at the time of his disappearance. He was wearing a short-sleeved t-shirt with a circular design on the front, khaki pants, and black shoes. His car was a white, four-door 2013 Ford Fusion with the license plate number WJ70L and one rim in a different color than the others. Anyone with information that could help solve this strange and mysterious disappearance can contact Broward County Crime Stoppers at 954-493-TIPS. Number 3.
Okay, before we move on, I do have an update to this story. This particular video was made about 2 or 3 years ago, so there has been some developments. After more than a decade, the family of a missing South Florida man are finding closure following a heartbreaking discovery. The skeletal remains of 25-year-old Stephen Mackerel, who was last seen in 2015, were found inside his car submerged in a lake in Boca Raton. It's part shock, part relief, said Don Mackerel, Stephen's father. I told everybody I would rather have that day come than not coming at all, ever, because 10 years was a long time. For a decade, the Mackerel family was desperately searching for answers about what happened to their son after he vanished from Pompano Beach in July 2015. So we don't really know. This article came out in October of 2025, fairly recently, and we don't know, was his car forced off the road? Was he murdered? Was he just, driving impaired, and so he drove his car into a lake? We really don't know. But we do know he has passed away, unfortunately. And, my takeaway from this is I don't drink at all, but definitely don't drink and drive. That's really, as you can see, his whole evening was a comedy of errors. So be careful out there. Okay, let's get back to this video.
June of 2012 was a time of celebration for many people in the UK. Many people had off from work and were celebrating the Queen's Diamond Jubilee with friends and family. For Claire Holland, it was the beginning of a scary mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Claire was 32 years old in 2012. She had recently reconnected with her family and moved into a new flat to be near them in Bristol. She also had a child who she adored. Claire was excited and busy. She had been buying new furniture that would arrive at her new apartment in a few months. She also had several meetings set up. On Wednesday, June 6th, Claire spent the day in Broadmead, Bristol's shopping quarter. According to Claire's family, she loved shopping and spent much of the day purchasing clothes and browsing the shops, which would later provide investigators with evidence for her missing person case. Several CCTV cameras caught Claire going about her day. She was alone in the footage. though it was a relatively busy afternoon and many people would have walked past. The final piece of CCTV footage showed a mysterious event at around 9:30 p.m. when Claire entered the Seamus O'Donnell's pub. It was Claire's favorite pub, and she was relatively well known there. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary
Is that Seamus or Seamus?
for Claire to stop in, especially at a time when there was a lot to celebrate. Staff at the pub remembered Claire leaving shortly after closing time at 11:15 p.m. What happened after that remains an unsolved mystery. It was a few days before anybody realized Claire was a missing person. It's not clear why it took so long, but eventually her friends and family realized something strange was going on. Claire used Facebook frequently to stay in touch with friends and family. Her social media silence since June 6th was noticed by many. When her family began asking around, they realized nobody had spoken to
Hey, there's that police officer who doesn't have a badge. I'm not sure I would speak to him.
her since that night either. She had gone missing from all of her appointments and had also missed numerous home deliveries at times that she had scheduled. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. 10 days after Claire mysteriously vanished, she was reported missing to the police. At first, police weren't sure what to make of her sudden disappearance. She had no known reason to want to go missing, and by all accounts was looking forward to her new life. But it's not always possible to explain what's going on inside a person's own head. Was it possible Claire hadn't been enjoying her life as much as her friends and family thought? That seemed a slim possibility, especially when police realized her bank account hadn't been touched since the night she disappeared. Whatever had happened to her, it was very out of character. There was plenty of street cam footage of Claire going about her day. However, investigators were puzzled by the lack of footage after she left the pub. There were a lot of cameras in the area, as evidenced by the large number of videos of Claire from earlier. And police clearly got to the cameras before they were automatically wiped, as even the earlier footage was obtained. So whatever happened to Claire seems to have happened very shortly after she went to Seamus O'Donnell's. There also doesn't seem to be any camera footage from inside the pub itself. That left police with a lot of questions about what went on inside the pub and where she intended to go after she left. Even though she had been alone throughout the day, it's possible she didn't intend to stay alone that evening. According to her mother, she'd gone to meet someone who has never been identified to speak about an unknown topic. Investigators cannot determine if Claire disappeared before she reached this meeting, or if this event had nothing to do with her unsolved case. Knowing more about this could provide valuable information about her last moments before vanishing into thin air. Police sent information to everyone on Claire's Facebook friends list, asking for any information to help them develop a timeline. A similar appeal for information was made on the police website.
You know, when I was on AM radio, I was on, well, I won't say what area because I don't know what the status of the case is, but I was contacted through Facebook by someone in law enforcement regarding a radio station I was on, and I had to tell them, well, I'm not, I don't even live near that radio station, and that me being on the air was brokered through the person who produced my shows, so I couldn't speak to any activity going on at the radio station. But it's very jarring when the law enforcement reaches out to you on Facebook.
Hundreds of leads were followed up, but all led police no closer to figuring out what happened that June night. After the initial push for information, the case seemingly went cold and didn't get much publicity. Claire would appear on lists of local missing people who hadn't been found, but there wasn't much progress in the case, and little coverage besides those lists. Police didn't believe this strange mystery was the result of foul play until years later in 2019. The exact details of this investigation are unclear, but in 2019, police told Claire's family that they had arrested a man in connection to this unsolved mystery. He was released soon after. This activity seemed to reopen the investigation, and there was lots of more movement in the unsolved case over the next few years. including multiple searches of the area around where Claire disappeared. The site isn't too far away from various waterways, including docks, and professional divers were sent to look for clues. In 2012, another pub was forensically examined by police, though they emphasized that none of the tenants at the pub were believed to be involved. Despite the extensive searches, Claire still hasn't been found. Around the time of the 10th anniversary of Claire's disappearance, police again arrested the man that they had detained 3 years earlier. This time, he was charged in her disappearance, but still awaits trial. Police have continued to appeal for information that could help solve this strange mystery. Claire was 5 feet tall and of a slim build when she vanished. She was wearing black pants, a short-sleeved black top, and a gray t-shirt underneath. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers or the local police. Number 2.
Okay, I also have an update to this case. As they mentioned, this gentleman, Darren Osment, was arrested in 2019. Undercover officer attempted to befriend Osment between 2020 and 2022, I guess, so after that first initial arrest. Osment had told the officer that he had strangled Holland before using his knife skills to cut open her torso. I won't get into detail with that kind of stuff. It was regarding the fact that he was furious with Holland for keeping me away from my boy and that he had strangled her to death and disposed of her body in Bristol. Osment also told another person in 2018 that he had paid someone £500 to execute the mother of his child. So it sounds like his story has kind of changed a little bit over the years. Osment was believed to have murdered Holland due to the fact he thought that she was responsible for their child being taken into foster care. 2 years before Holland's disappearance, police were called to their home after he had assaulted her and pushed her down the stairs. On December 11, 2023, Osment was found guilty of murdering Holland. On December 20th, 2023, Osment was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 20 years before becoming eligible for parole. Osment will be eligible to apply for parole on January 15th, 2044. On April 29th, 2024, it was reported that Osment was to appeal against his sentence. Good luck with that. So there you go. She was murdered, unfortunately, with her ex-boyfriend, maybe. And there's another lesson here. Be careful. Be careful who your friends are. Sometimes it's impossible to know. Other times you may pick up clues, and then it's advised to step away from that if you can, as safely as possible, obviously. So anyway, those were our mysteries for today. We'll be back soon. I thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Sincerely. Please take care. Thanks.